Algeria International. It's time for the news.
Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has left Algiers after a two-day official visit, culminating in the signing of numerous agreements and memoranda of understanding. President Tebboune and his Rwandan counterpart renewed commitment to supporting African causes, including the Sahrawi issue, in addition to the Palestinian right to self-determination. And the UN has called for protecting a ship operated by the Freedom Flotilla coalition carrying aid supplies to Gaza as the crew observed a drone roaming over the ship 80 kilometers from Greek land. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First in our news, the President of the Republic, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, has left Algiers after a two-day official visit marked by constructive talks with the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune. The Rwandan president's visit culminated in the signing of numerous memoranda of understanding and agreement in various sectors. In a statement to the press at the end of his meeting with his Rwandan counterpart, the President of the Republic hailed the signing of these agreements and expressed his desire to see them translated into tangible projects. President Tebboune highlighted the convergence of views between the two countries on various regional and international issues, as well as the principle of peaceful solution or resolution of conflicts and the rejection of foreign interference in African affairs. And the President of the Republic described his Rwandan counterpart's visit as a valuable opportunity that allowed for enriching discussions in which the need to revive and expand cooperation was agreed upon. He emphasized that he had held talks with his Rwandan counterpart on the areas of political, security, economic, and cultural cooperation and on the creation of mechanisms to promote trade, including the Algerian Rwandan Business Council. Still, on the economic front, Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune praised Rwanda's efforts to revive its economy, describing the country as a model for many African countries. He highlighted the support of both countries for the activation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, emphasizing the role of Rwanda and the importance of activating the African Medicines Agency whose headquarters is based in Kigali. The president also praised Rwanda's enormous efforts to revive its economy, with strong growth of 8.3% last year and 7.8% this year, marking Rwanda making Rwanda a model for many African countries, particularly those thanks to its stability and the preservation of security throughout the region, despite the suffering endured by the Rwandan people, especially during the genocide. Let's listen to the President of the Republic.
وأود هنا أن أثمن اتفاقيات ومذكرات التفاهم التي تم توقيعها وتكريسها في مشاريع ملموسة، وأعرب عن الارتياح لتقارب وجهات النظر بين بلدينا حول العديد من القضايا الإقليمية والدولية، وتمسكنا بمبدأ الحلول السلمية للنزاعات ورفض التدخلات الأجنبية في شؤون القارة الإفريقية.
That was the President of the Republic speaking about the agreement. And now let's listen to the President of the Republic speaking about the opportunities that the visit of the Rwandan President makes to Algeria.
محادثات حول مجالات التعاون السياسي والأمني والاقتصادي والثقافي، وإرساء آليات لترقية المبادلات التجارية، ومنها مجلس الأعمال الجزائري الرواندي، وتنظيم لقاءات دورية بين المتعاملين الاقتصاديين، والمشاركة في المعارض ذات الطابع الاقتصادي.
And the President of the Republic, as I said before, hailed the enormous efforts made by Rwanda to revive its economy with strong growth of 8.3% last year and 7.8% this year.
عربنا عن دعمنا لتفعيل المنطقة الإفريقية للتبادل الحر، وأغتنم هذه السانحة للتنويه بدور رواندا وتفعيل الوكالات الإفريقية للأدوية ومقرها كيغالي العاصمة الرواندية. وفي مجال الاقتصادي أريد أن أنوه بالمجهودات الجبارة التي قامت بها جمهورية رواندا في النمو الاقتصادي، حيث رواندا تمتاز اليوم بأعلى نسبة مئوية في التنمية 8.3% بالنسبة للسنة الماضية و7.8% بالنسبة للسنة. إذن مجهودات كثيرة. رواندا تصبح نموذج بالنسبة لكثير من الدول الإفريقية مع استقرارها، مع حفاظها على الأمن في كل المنطقة، رغم المعاناة اللي عاناها الشعب الرواندي من مجازر وغيرها. إذن رواندا مثل يقتدى به.
And the two presidents discussed numerous regional and international issues of mutual interest on which Algiers and Kigali share the same position. President Abdelmadjid Tebboune said that he had exchanged with President Paul Kagame on hotbeds of tension and conflict in Africa, emphasizing the support of both countries for the Sahrawi people and their right to self-determination, and also the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination and the establishment of their independent state with the 1967 borders with Al-Quds's capital.
تبادلنا الآراء حول مناطق التوتر والنزاع في إفريقيا، وأكدنا دعمنا للشعب الصحراوي وحقه في تقرير المصير عبر الاستفتاء حر ونزيه وعادل وفقا لقرارات الشرعية الدولية. كما أتاح لنا هذا اللقاء مع فخامة الرئيس بول كاغامي الفرصة لتبادل وجهات النظر حول الوضع في شرق جمهورية الكونغو الديمقراطية، وجددنا في هذا الشأن دعمنا الكامل لمساعي الجارية من أجل التوصل إلى حل سياسي شامل. كما تطرقنا إلى تداعيات الأزمة في السودان وضرورة تنشيط دور الاتحاد الإفريقي لإيجاد الحل المنشود. عبرنا في هذه المناسبة عن انشغالنا العميق بالأوضاع في غزة وضرورة الوقف الفوري للعدوان على الشعب الفلسطيني وضمان إيصال المساعدات الإنسانية في أقرب الأجال ودعم حقه في إقامة دولته المستقلة على حدود 1967 وعاصمتها القدس الشريف.
For his part, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, described his talks with the President of the Republic as constructive, welcoming the close cooperation that Kigali wishes to consolidate with Algiers. Let's listen to him.
The President and I had very constructive discussions which built on the long-standing friendship between our two countries. The diplomatic presence of Rwanda in Algeria, which we hope to have soon, will create more opportunities to strengthen our economic ties and see more engagement between our private sectors. In education, Algeria's support for Rwandan students in cutting-edge fields like artificial intelligence and data science has been very successful. I want to thank you, Mr. President. This reflects the forward-looking nature of our partnership and our shared interest to build the capacity of our people in various fields.
It's worth recalling that Rwanda's President Paul Kagame left Algiers after a two-day official visit to our country. UN experts have called for the protection of a ship operated by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, which departed from Italy carrying food, medical supplies and baby items bound for Gaza. The UN aid said it is desperately needed for the people of Gaza to forestall annihilation, and this initiative is symbolic and powerful effort to deliver. More on the Madeleine ship in this report by our colleague Asya Bakar.
A ship carrying life-saving aid and determined activists is making its way across the Mediterranean, a voyage of resistance against a blockade that has devastated a people for over a decade. The Madeleine, a vessel named after Gaza's first and only fisherwoman, is now sailing towards the besieged enclave with a mission rooted in compassion and justice. The ship set sail from Catania, Sicily on June 1st, and it has traveled approximately 600 kilometers across the Mediterranean.
We are here sailing from Augusta to Catania, where we have our final launch event for the next 2 days, Friday, Saturday, and on Sunday we're sailing to Gaza to break the illegal siege and to create a people's humanitarian corridor. It's very important that we ask all the governments that we pressure everywhere for a safe passage of the Medellin. 12 people are here on board to break the siege and to create a people's humanitarian corridor, to take whatever aid we can carry and to say that we will not accept a genocide, we will not accept ethnic cleansing, and we will not stay silent in the greatest challenge of our generation.
The crew is made of 12 brave souls, including the renowned Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg, who has joined this peaceful protest to shine a light on Gaza's suffering.
I'm here with Blast to try to break the siege on Gaza and to try to do my part to demand an end to this ongoing genocide and blockade. We are on Madeleine, a ship that on June 1st started the trip towards Gaza to try to deliver humanitarian aid in the form of food and medical supplies. And this is a part of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, which is an initiative that since 2008 has continuously trying to send boats to sail towards Gaza to break the siege and open up a humanitarian corridor. And this we are doing in solidarity with Palestine and as a part of a global solidarity movement that demands justice and liberation for Palestinians. And we urge all of you to keep all eyes on deck and to demand an end to the genocide.
The crew is aware of the risk taken, as last month another aid ship named the Conscience was attacked by drones in international waters off Malta, but decided to sail still convinced that inaction is the higher risk.
Of course, this mission includes many risks that we have included in our risk assessments, but we have made the judgment that the risk of not doing anything it's so much higher than our mission here. Countless people are suffering and dying in Palestine and have been for many, many decades, and we cannot just ignore and be silent in the face of injustice.
Monitored live by Forensic Architecture, this ship's journey is expected to reach Gaza by June 7th, a 7-day voyage of hope, assuming no disruptions along the way. Last night, however, the crew observed a drone roaming over the ship while sailing 80 kilometers from Greek land.
Hello everyone, we are reporting here from the Madeleine. We are right now at 80 kilometers from Greek lands and 68 kilometers from Greek territorial waters. What happened is that we just spotted a drone and we confirmed it is a drone, but we just lost visual with it. It could have either turned back or turned off the lights. We have our safety procedures here and it demands us to go get all of our life jackets. We prepare to alert level at the maximum, especially if it's approaching us, and we sound the alarm for you. Now we count on all of you to share what's going on here and to please let the world know that we are 80 kilometers from Greece and we need your help.
This flotilla is more than a symbolic gesture. It's a direct response to a dire humanitarian crisis. Today, the Madeleine carries vital supplies, medical kits, rice, baby formulas, sanitary products, water desalination tools, crutches, and prosthetics for children. These are essentials desperately needed by Gaza's population, who are facing a mounting humanitarian disaster. The crew and volunteers aboard the Madeleine trained in non-violence and peaceful resistance, sail unarmed, committed to a cause that transcends politics, and that is the right to survive, to heal, and to live in dignity. And as the Madeleine approaches Gaza's shores, hope remains resilient amid despair. This journey, a testament to human solidarity, reminds us all that even in the darkest waters, compassion can still sail strong.
And the permanent representative of the State of Palestine to the United Nations, Riyad Mansour, stated that the Arab group at the United Nations will not accept the Security Council and UN organizations remaining paralyzed.
With regard to the plan, how it is unfolding, we decided in the Arab group through our representative Algeria, of course with the help of the other representative, Somalia, that we do not accept complacency in the Security Council. The Security Council has a responsibility to maintain international peace and security. And what is happening in Gaza is a threat against international peace and security. So the Security Council has a responsibility to act.
And finally, the International Day of Innocent Children Victims of Aggression is celebrated every year on the 4th of June. Next is an interview by our colleague Mariam Bershi with UNICEF Communication Chief Jonathan Cricks, who highlighted the suffering and nightmare of the children of Gaza during his visits there. And with this, to come to the end of this news bulletin, we'll meet you again tomorrow. Thank you.
Today on the waves of Radio Algeria International, we are honoured to have UNICEF Communication Chief Mr. Jonathan Cricks to speak about the International Day of Innocent Children, Victims of Aggression, shedding light on the situation of children in Palestine. Hi, Mr. Cricks.
Hi, good morning.
You reported that at least 17,000 children are unaccompanied or separated due to the ongoing assault on the Gaza Strip. Can you provide an overview of the current situation of children in Palestine?
Well, these figures of 17,000 is not something that was monitored directly on the ground. It's actually an estimate. Beyond the figures, when I was in the Gaza Strip, I met many children who had lost a brother or sister, sometimes one parent, and unfortunately also their two parents. And they were usually taken care of by their aunts, their uncles, their cousins. Mm-hmm. But the trauma, the impact of this conflict on those children is, of course, huge and absolutely dramatic.
And how has the conflict impacted the daily lives of Palestinian children?
I mean, in all aspects, their daily lives has been impacted. Most of the children living currently in the Gaza Strip have been displaced not only once, but 2, 3, 4, 5 times. We have seen major population movement from the north to the center, and then from the center to the south, and now again from the south to the center again. And you know, when those families are moving, when I see those families, they are living in makeshift tents. They only have like a couple of mattresses, a plate, a knife, and a fork, mm-hmm. but they barely have anything. They move with what they have on their back, meaning that they went through the entire winter with not the right clothing. They don't have access to enough food. They don't have access to enough water. Mm-hmm. They don't have access to enough medical supplies. And in addition to that, they have been subject to a very high level of violence and bombardments. So they have been tremendously psychologically impacted. And here, after having said that, we didn't even enter the fact that more than 600,000 students didn't attend 1 hour at school since October 2023. So I can really say that this conflict has affected almost all children in the Gaza Strip in every aspect of their lives.
You just mentioned the psychological effects, so my next question is, what are some of the most common psychological effects experienced by Palestinian children due to the ongoing conflict? And can you share maybe some examples of how physical violence and aggression have affected children in Palestine?
I mean, every child is different, and every child that we have met on the ground has gone through, I would say, very, very different experiences, but they all have a story of loss and grief. Most of the children that we have met, as I was saying earlier, they lost a family member, a friend, a cousin, or someone from their family. And the children we meet and we support, because we provide large-scale mental health and psychosocial support programs to these children. The children usually show a different array, a different type of symptoms. It can go from not eating, having huge difficulties to sleep, being extremely stressed, and high levels of anxiety. I had met with Razan. She's 10 years old, and she had lost her father, her mother, her two sisters, her little brother, and she had also lost her leg. And when I was, talking to the social workers who were taking care of her in Rafah 2 months ago, they were explaining how, she had huge difficulties to sleep. She was jumping and crying as soon as she was hearing bombardments or just a door was slammed. So the impacts on these children are very intense, and for sure it will take many months and many years for them to get over that trauma. But in order to do so, they need to receive appropriate support. And UNICEF has delivered, mental health and psychosocial support to thousands, hundreds of thousands of children. This is not enough. What they need actually is an immediate ceasefire, because without a ceasefire, they are constantly brought back in the fear, in the anxiety, and they can't develop any form of hope to get better.
I see. And what are the major health challenges faced by those children in conflict zones in Palestine?
So in Gaza, what we have witnessed, the entire health system has been brought to its knees. So we have a very limited number of hospitals which are partially functioning. When we go to those hospitals, what we can witness is that there is very little electricity, because usually those hospitals are working on fuel-powered generators, electrical generators. And considering that there is very little fuel inside of the Gaza Strip, especially now, they don't have the power, for example, the electricity to power surgery rooms. So many children are not receiving the medical support that they should receive. We see many children who are waiting, who are injured, who are waiting in corridors, sitting on the floor or lying on the floor. The staff in the hospitals is of course exhausted. It's bed capacity. In addition to that, they don't have enough medical supplies, syringes, compresses, bandages, anesthesics. All this is missing. So the situation of the health system in the Gaza Strip currently is extremely dramatic and very close to complete collapse.
I see. What are the main human rights violations against children in Palestine that you have witnessed?
What we have seen, we are not. It's going to be a very long list, and I'm not sure that we can enter. So, if you allow me, I would just like to focus on a few aspects. So, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, thousands and thousands who have been injured and that we have been seeing in hospitals being treated with very limited capacity from the hospitals, with limited medical supplies, etc. So first and foremost, every child must be protected. This is according to international humanitarian law. It is a grave violation to have children killed or maimed in the context of a conflict, and we have been calling on all parties to ensure that everyone is making everything possible to protect the children from being killed, from being injured, from losing their houses, from not accessing the hospitals. All these are grave violations, and clearly we are very, very concerned about the situation in the past 8 months, but also in the past weeks, when we see that we had many children, probably 500,000 children who had to move from Rafah to Deir el-Bala, to Al-Mawasi, to live in extremely dire conditions. So the overall situation, the killing, the maiming, the access to health centers, the access to food, the access to water, are all aspects where we are extremely concerned.
What role do international organizations play in supporting children in Palestine, and how effective are these efforts?
So we have been working relentlessly 24/7. All our staff on the ground or here in the region have been working in order first to address what was life-saving, critical supplies. And here we're talking about water, we're talking about medical supplies. We're also talking about vaccines. Routine vaccines are important to, continue to be brought in by UNICEF. And then there is also the entire aspect related to food. Since the onset of this crisis, UNICEF has been bringing all these critical life-saving supplies. When I'm talking about food, we have to be also very specific. What we are trying to address is malnutrition, acute severe malnutrition among the children, especially the children below the age of 5. And many children can die from malnutrition. So it's also important to keep in mind that this malnutrition, it is not being addressed by bringing flour to make bread or bringing canned food. It has to be supported with a very close medical monitoring through high energy biscuits, protein, lipid-rich biscuits that have to be given to children suffering from malnutrition in a very monitored and progressive way, because they could die from being overfed when they're in the state of malnutrition. So these are the things that we have been procuring. For example, we have been procuring those RUTF, ready-to-use therapeutic food, to thousands. We also have been delivering water. These are important things that we are able to bring to the people in need. But the major issues that we are still facing are there is not enough humanitarian aid which is entering the Gaza Strip. That's one. And then when aid is entering, the challenges, the security, the communication, the coordination, the logistical challenges that we are facing on the ground to distribute the humanitarian aid that has entered and to be able to reach the people in need wherever they are is extremely difficult.
Thank you. And finally, you mentioned the need for a ceasefire. So what are the changes necessary to ensure a safer and more stable environment for those children in Palestine and in Gaza?
We can discuss about the number of trucks which are entering. We can discuss about the fact that aid face challenges to be distributed, but we can discuss about the fact that hospitals are lacking medical supplies, that they don't even have electricity for their surgery rooms, that they don't have electricity sometimes for the incubators where the premature babies are. But all the issues that we are facing are ultimately linked to a humanitarian ceasefire. If we want children to recover psychologically from the trauma they have been through, we need a ceasefire. If we want the health system to be put back on track and being able to treat the children who are injured, and I can tell you that the injuries of modern military equipment on a 4-year-old is absolutely horrible to watch. So if we want to have those children receiving appropriate medical support, we need an immediate ceasefire. If we want to have children accessing proper potable water,